Hi, I'm Symphoneers, and today we're doing my, once a set update of Mono White Midrange. Let's start at the top end. We have two of the Eternal Wanderer. This is a card that I didn't have, super high expectations for in previews, but it's actually proven to be pretty good. There are a fair number of tokens in Standard right now, which let the uptick just functionally be removal if you blink a token or exile to return a token. It just goes, disappears when it changes zones, so that can be hard removal, which is nice. The 2/2 double strikers are also just very good bodies, and the -4, the Wrath, is also more usable than I realized it would be because there's, random wedding announcement tokens or whatever. You can Wrath, select the, worst token your opponent has for them to keep, and then their actually good creatures all die, so that's nice. I'll maybe use this as an excuse to talk about, don't run Wraths in your creature-based decks. It's not a thing that's ever correct. You're planning to lose and planning to put yourself in a position where you just have to pull that emergency ripcord, whereas instead of running Wrath, you could run a good proactive card that isn't dead in hand if you're at parity. So that's kind of what the Eternal Wanderer is for us. There are modes that are good when we're at parity or looking to push advantage, like spitting out tutus and stuff, but it is also a little bit of a emergency ripcord, oh no, my, mono-red opponent had a fast rollout, let's wipe the board, they just keep a Phoenix chick and go from there. In the 4-drop slot, kind of good old standards of Elspeth Resplendent, often we'll want to downtick this to fish for some of our lowdown removal, which I'll talk more about later, and then it is also just a reasonable value card, or the uptick can, enhance those 2/2 double strikers that we're generating, and yeah, just generally good planeswalker. We're running one Owl of the Dawn Sky, just large dragon. It's the emotional support Owl. We are running two Phyrexian Vindicators. This underperforms in black-based matchups in particular because, Mono Black has Destroy, removal that just destroys the creature, or Edicts that make you sacrifice it or whatever. It's really in the deck for the, Mono Red or Mono Green, versus any deck that wants to beat down with creatures. It is a great way to kind of stonewall their aggression and to give you a chance to breathe and, get out your good, big, expensive planeswalkers or whatever. So that's why we're kind of running two of them. I tried Elish Norn in this deck briefly and kind of as an alternative to some of the top end we've got going on here because we do have a lot of ETBs to work with. I found she didn't really do that well, so that's why we're not running Elish Norn. Kind of underperformed, because unlike Shieldred, she requires you to have a, actual game plan and cards in hand and, anyway. We are running 3 of the Wandering Emperor, just very good removal, can spit out more samurais and stuff. And yeah, love, I've just talked about the Wandering Emperor so many times at this point. She kills things dead. Woo! We are running 2 Adeline Resplendent Cathars, just kind of good beatdown 3-drop threat. We're not super invested in go-wide stuff, but she does still kind of functionally help us produce a board. And clock the opponent effectively. We are a very little bit go wide with our wedding announcements. These are great for a little bit of card advantage, and also the Anthem effect is handy. The 1/1s can just soak up removal from mono black opponents or whatever, or chump block to buy you time versus more aggressive decks. Just good, versatile card overall. We're running 3 Restorations of Iganjo. The kind of neat parlor trick, or the thing that's new to this standard that it can do, is it can discard and bring back Ossification. So you can get Ossification basically for free because it's a 2-mana removal spell that's permanent based. And Ossification, I'll just do it now because I'm talking about it. Ossification is great. The fact it can hit planeswalkers as well as creatures, oh, so good. And yeah, just a top-notch, O-ring kind of exile effect. Very happy to play it. I've been very, this is one of the things in the deck that you should, play Ossification, please. It's so good. Even if you're not doing this interaction. We're also running 3 Brutal Cathars. Just as a bit more interaction, this can help swing, creature matchups in particular in our favor. Buying time versus soldiers or whatever. yeah, just handy little kind of 2-for-1-ish threat. We're running 4 Spirited Companions, great thing to ditch to the Restoration of Iganjo, but also it's just a good dog that helps us kind of hand smooth our way into our larger threats, and it is an enchantment creature, which means it's good for eating, like, various parts of Invoke Despair. Yeah, good dog. We are running 2 Intrepid Adversaries. The little bit of lifelink from this can help us stabilize in mono-red matchups, and later in the game, if we've had like wedding announcements ticking, or maybe the Architect of Restoration has been attacking, we might actually have a handful of 1/1s to work with that it can help anthem up into an actual kind of beatdown team. Also very good for supporting like the samurais that the various emperors make. We are running 2 Ambitious Farmhands, again just more like hand smoothing, kind of a value card. I find mono black opponents will burn like cutdowns and stuff really aggressively on Ambitious Farmhands and Spirited Companions, which I would consider almost strictly incorrect, versus Spirited Companion in particular. Ambitious Farmhand can at least flip into a 3/3. You should not burn removal on a 1/1 with an ETB, because then you're down a card and I'm up a card, and yeah, I don't know, weird pet peeves of mine. Uh, anyway, in the 1-drop slot, just a playset of Laydown Arms, again, just really efficient removal to complement the Ossification, the Brutal Cathar. Overall, this is a much more kind of mid-rangey, control-y version of this deck than some lists I've built, and that's just because we have gotten so much, like, really nice, clean interaction in white over the past few sets. So I wanted to kind of build the deck in a way that leaned into that a little bit and had a more kind of, not strictly controlling top end, but planeswalker-y, like, reflexive top end. Yeah, so we're kind of mid-rangey. In the mana base, this is actually a kind of important thing, Mirrex. I really like Mirrex, or like it's quite good. Traditionally, I don't like running a lot of colorless lands in decks because they just, like, can mess with casting spells and stuff. The fact that Mirrex can tap for any color the turn it comes down helps mean that it won't totally wreck our, like, ability to play Phyrexian Vindicator. You can keep in mind that you have, like, a Vindicator in hand and sequence your land drops accordingly so that you play the Mirrex later and can cast it. Yeah, I would maybe go up to 3. I just don't have that card, and I'm not burning a wild card on it. Haha. We've got a, 68% win rate. Yeah, 68% win rate with 2 Mirrexes. I have one with the Mirrex Mites in particular in control matchups, versus decks that are just like constantly board wiping or whatever. The fact that it can just spit out a toxic threat too, like 1/1s that can effectively clock the opponent, or like kill them over 10 turns instead of 20, like a Castle Ardenvale 1/1 token. Pretty good. You don't really need them to block in that matchup either, or in that context, so the fact that the Mites can't block, not really relevant. It's a very good land, been very happy with it. 1 Iganjo as per usual, Kamigawa Channel land, and yeah, I think that is more or less the deck. Let's get into some actual gameplay. Sure, this hand is pretty reasonable. Double Elspeths is a little bit awkward, but Intrepid Adversary and Ossification are nice early. We get Mirrex, so we will be able to curve out to at least Adeline, which is handy. Yeah. You may notice I'm at 89% in Mythic. I've been playing some trash after I hit Mythic, which I should have just recorded this video sooner, but anyway, Borrowed Time, sure. So like mono-white control or whatever? Yeah, I've been playing some decks. I should be nicer to the decks I make. They're fine or interesting, but I like only get mono-black as a matchup, or it's my most frequent matchup, and they all do, everything's done terribly into mono-black, so that's been a thing. This deck does okay into it. Yeah, so we're just dealing with like mono-white control, I guess. Maybe someone playing the Might Sweeper, Twilight of Sun, or whatever. Wedding Announcement's a nice hit here because it like gives us a board and some card advantage and etc, etc, etc. Okay, they are literally doing might stuff. Restoration of Viganjo. Are they being cheeky with a Skrelv's Hive or something? This is one of those matchups where I'm slightly confused. Okay. We do have a backup Elspeth. We also have the Wanderer. I might just get, or the Eternal Wanderer. All of the Wandering Emperor cards being like very slightly different from each other name-wise, but having similar components is so bad for me as just someone whose memory like blurs together in that way. Yeah, the character, you know, the Wandering Emperor. Yep. I'll block both these, cause why not? Might so clock, depopulate, sure. So weird might deck is happening. We could get Elspeth down, but I'd like, or rather Adeline, but I'd like to get Elspeth doing stuff. I'll Wedding Announcement. Get that value ticking. It is valid to fish for, I think we saw a dog. I selected the Wedding Announcement pretty quickly. Yeah, the Anthem from this announcement too will be handy for killing them quickly. It can be valid to get a Spirited Companion if you see it off of Elspeth, because the Eternal Wanderer can blink it and do stuff, do value things, which is handy. But I just want to try to kill our opponent before they recover in any capacity, and that went as well as it could have, I think. Good games to the opponent. If there's anything aside from standard videos you'd like to see me cover, let me know. Yeah, the stream today in particular that I did just absolutely whiffed, because was just on the draw versus black decks constantly. I was like, well, time to go play Dark and Darker, because that's cool and good. Okay, good games to the opponent. Very reasonable hand. Lay down arms for a little bit of interaction and ossification, and then we have adversary for actually, like, doing something. Our opponent has taken 2 mulligans, which is either good or like, oh no, they're playing a combo deck and I'm going to not be happy about it. I don't love the combo decks in Standard, personally, they just don't. They do not spark joy for me, but anyway, Intrepid Adversary, will try to do something. Adversary presumably going to get cut down, but... Bank Buster, okay. Well, handy dandy planes. We will just clock them with the adversary and play out the Restoration of Viganjo, grab a planes, and then probably do ossification. Use ossification to nab a creature or something, or they might just not play anything out. We'll see how this goes. Disfigure, okay. You do you. Farmhand is actually kind of nice. Farmhand's kind of nice. I was considering, like, dropping the planes and being noodly. I think I'm still gonna do the farmhand, actually. The adversary is, of course, a little bit more pressure in the short term, but I would like to play out the Wandering Emperor. And then ow. Like, we have a 4-drop into 5-drop in hand that I'm interested in developing with. So that's why we are not going for the more near future 2-drop thing. This type of Wandering Emperor play, I know you don't see a ton, but with our restoration flipping and stuff, we're about to have a lot more board than our opponent to work with, and we're just kind of trying to be the aggressor here. Very much doing the mid-range move of, like, identifying, are you the beatdown? Are you the control? We're the beatdown, so we're going to try to, like, curve into our large threats, get big scary things happening ASAP. So let's make another samurai. Ow versus Elspeth. Elspeth is probably better over the long term. Ow kills them a little bit faster. Let's do Elspeth. We're not under a lot of pressure, so taking the long term, or like kind of, Adeline is a nice hit here, because nice and aggressive, but also we get to do our kind of long term plan too. So this is happening. Then we get Ow out. They might have a sweeper or something. Gix's command. Nope, they're fishing with the Bankbuster. They do get the pilot token because they've been drawing a bunch. This feels like a fight rigging deck that did not get its fight rigging. Or like mulliganed aggressively and didn't hit the pieces. That's kind of my guess as to what's going on. Yeah, I think we're choking miasma, sure. We lose some shrimpy things, but who cares about shrimpy things? We will just jam Ow. We will make maybe Adeline extra thick because Adeline has a shield token on her, and we will, yeah, just extra thick Adeline activate. We get some tokens, so Adeline hits in for 7 lifelink, which is good. And our opponent is definitely on a clock. Hi, oh, it's Phyrexian Obliterator memes, okay. This is probably... Is this that bad for us? I guess if they have 2 fight spells. Ow is a weird pick. Kind of. Also, this is kind of interesting. Do we want to do a thing? I will look at the top 7. You gotta let the stack resolve unless you have literally a bite spell or whatever. Oh, cool. Neat. This is very helpful for us. So we get to tuck away that Obliterator. And unless they have an instant speed fight spell, which they might, they do. Tail swipe number 2. Shield counter prevents the damage. Or no, it doesn't. Never mind. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Save me, Adeline. Haha! That's why I don't really like that Obliterator deck. I'm glad they did the thing, because that lets me keep this game. Yeah, the Obliterator fight spell plan is fine, but also if your opponent is, or like this is a good example of the role of the 1/1s in our deck, like the Spirited Companions, the Adeline, and Wedding Announcement tokens and stuff. They help us absorb that type of, like, threat or that game plan. And the Obliterator's a really severe example of it, but also Mono Black is just running a bunch of Edicts and other, like, Invoke Despairs and so on. That's how we outvalue that plan, and we just end up having enough board presence and stuff anyway to roll over the opponent. That felt rambly to me, but anyway, good games to the opponent. Value 2-drop we can use to develop the board into Restoration, or like our value 3-drop, and Ossifications if we need to play defense or, you know, handle threat development from the opponent. So pretty happy with this opening hand. Ow is nice too. We are versus Esper. Given that we have 3 lands, I will not do the value play of the Spirited Companion and try to play a little bit more aggressive with the adversary here. Wedding Announcement, so that makes the adversary pretty bleh. We will fire off the Restoration of Iganjo, grab a Plains, do an Ossification next turn, probably on a token, or like maybe on a token. We do have 3 in hand, so we're not really like pressed to save them in that way. We can be greedy or aggressive here. Our opponent probably has a Wandering Emperor. Also, how do we want to do this? I will play out a Brutal Cathar. Just cause we can clear that token off the board. No Wandering Emperor or anything. Wedding announcement number 2, okay. Restoration flips. I will do what? We can double ossification to take care of the tokens, which is aggressive, but probably fine. Yeah, actually I don't hate that. It's very aggressive and slightly silly, but this also just lets us hit them for 5. And gives us a turn for like our architect to get going. Great! The aggression worked out. Good games to our opponent. This is a weird recording session. I've had a handful of very short games. Yeah, sorry, I was like just vibing. This hand is good because it has a bunch of value card draw development stuff. We're versus mono black too, so watch them immediately snap off a cut down on my sweet dog, my good boy. Rip no cut down. I immediately look like the fool. No, yeah, we are pretty happy to just play value into black decks because we can outvalue them with all of our nonsense. Woof woof, hit the opponent for 1. And then we will just keep doing, sure, Phyrexian Arena. We will keep doing value things. Let's drop the Spirited Companion, draw a card. We will then do Restoration, I guess, get that happening. We will certainly have a bunch of lands in hand. Swinging with the dog. Childred? I'm surprised. I think this is the first mono black opponent we've gotten today. I'll do the Intrepid Adversary. And just pay for the kicker off of this. Yeah. That is handy, and then we swing in with the good dogs, unless they have, or like they might have an Infernal Grasp or something. Bloodline culling, weird, but I guess people are playing mites and stuff, so the modal token thing might be relevant. They have removal, unsurprisingly, anyway. Archfiend of the Dross. Hi, you're a thing that can get under this ossification. So yeah, just fire off the ossification, hit the Archfiend, play out the farmhand. We might legitimately be doing like Mirex mites. Definitely hoping they don't have a proper sweeper. Because we're in a decent position to like push our advantage here, but also our hand, not ideal. The opponent at 8, they have the Phyrexian Arena. We lose one of the architects, sure. Neat. I would like to get the Emperor out more than I would like to do the Might thing, I think. Or I suspect that this will be better for producing a lethal board state next turn than the Might. So we will, yeah, wait for this stuff to happen. Kixian Puppeteer, sure. Tainted Adversary, sure. Just a bunch of, like, B-tier black value cards? Okay. I mean, I really like Tainted Adversary, but they've been printing, absurd cards in black constantly for, like, 6 sets, so, you know, and our opponent throws in the towel. That's very slightly early, but yeah, they do have their own arena draining them for health and stuff, so, fair, I guess. I might end the recording there because I actually got a late start today, and the constant wins and short games are going to be a little bit weird in editing, but I feel like it speaks to the deck's, what was it, 68% win rate? It's probably something different now. Please hold. Oh yeah, we're up to 71% now with the deck win rate, so that's nice. Deck's good. It's one of the few decks I've been playing since the set release that I've actually been winning with. Everything else has been not quite so hot. Yeah, I don't know if I'll keep the match in where I mentioned it, but like, if you would be into watching something other than standard deck techs, which are usually what does best on the channel in terms of regular content, let me know, cause I've not been, this format. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye-bye. Thank you for watching the video, and an extra big thank you to the Patreon patrons and YouTube members that help make these videos possible. Hope you have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.